it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1570.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. I'm revved up and so excited to share with you today a very special guest calling in from Fairfield, Connecticut, Brett Sloan. Brett Sloan owns and operates Sloan Motors, a place where he lives his lifelong passion for Porsche. It's a company that his late father Richard founded and developed, one of the most recognized Porsche specialty dealers in the world, selling approximately 5,000 Porsches over the span of almost 4 decades. Brett learned from his father how to manage and operate a premier specialty dealership and the intricacies of the marque, their strengths, their weaknesses, construction methods, rarity, and effective marketing approaches. And in 2016, Brett founded his own company, Brett Sloan Motors, to help unite us enthusiasts and collectors with the highest quality Porsches available. I've been familiar with Sloan for a long time. I knew Brett's father. That was a Candyland visit when I would go and look at the wonderful cars they had for sale. Drove me crazy. We're going to learn more about this in a minute, but first, a word from our valued sponsors that make this show possible. Sit tight, buckle up, and we'll be right back. Did you know Covercraft is much more than car covers? They offer protection for the inside of your vehicles too. Sunscreens to keep your vehicles cool and protected from the sun's damaging UV rays, dash pads that do the same so your dash stays looking new without all those ugly cracks and fading. The seat covers that are easily removed for washing are awesome, but it's their custom fit floor mats that I really love. Is your vehicle getting a little long in tooth? Well, there's no better way to give it a new car look than with a custom fit floor mat and trunk mat. I replace mine every few years with something a little different, contrasting, just to have some fun. It stops that urge to buy a new car, and more importantly, it protects the factory carpets, so when it's time to sell your vehicle, it looks brand new. They're easy to clean, they secure to the floor for safety, and they look oh so good. Don't forget your trunk, too. Custom fit trunk liners for sedans, coupes, and SUVs are perfect protection for the factory carpets from all those things that can stain and damage the floor of your vehicles. Check out Covercraft.com for a huge number of styles, colors, and options that'll make you smile. And I've got a deal for you. If you use the code YEAH120, that's YEAH120 at Covercraft.com, you get 10% off your Covercraft order. So go to Covercraft.com today and use the code YEAH120 at checkout. Tell them Mark sent you. That's Covercraft.com. Covercraft, they've got you covered. So, what do you do after running a race team for 27 years with over 100 podiums, multiple Daytona wins, and a win at Le Mans? Well, if you're a racer and the Racers Group team owner Kevin Buckler, you start Adobe Road Winery. It's located in Petaluma, California, and he and his team have created a winning combination with the Racing Series, 4 ultra-premium red wine blends that are in a class of their own. Like racing, these wines comprise of art, precision, engineering, science, wrapped in a whole lot of fun. You can choose from 4 blends titled Redline, Apex, Shift, and the 24. Today, I'm going to talk about Shift. This wine was awarded 93 points by Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. It's balanced and spicy with dark blueberries and a cigar aroma. The unique bottle shape features a vintage-inspired metal gated shift back with carbon fiber, and the cork is topped with a 5-speed shift knob. That's right. There's going to be some battles at the dinner table on who gets to keep the cork after this bottle has been enjoyed. The Racing Series is a delicious gift for the automotive enthusiast in your life, and I've got a deal for you. If you use the code CARSYEAH, all one word in caps, at checkout, you get $10 off any purchase of the wines from the Racing Series. Your wine ships promptly and arrives quickly right at your door. Use the code CARSYEAH at checkout and get $10 off your purchase from the Racing Series today. There's always a seat at the table for excellence with the Racing Series. Go to adoberoadwines.com and use the code CARSYEAH today. Cheers! Hey, Brett, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Let's do this, Mark.
All right, this is going to be fun. I'm so happy to have you today. By the way, I enjoyed the video tour you did last week, the virtual tour of Sloan Motors. Was that on YouTube or Instagram? I can't remember.
It started off on Facebook through Avance out in Seattle. They might have put it up on YouTube as well, but I believe it's still up on their Facebook fan page.
Absolutely. Yeah, Avance, a great place. I've got their founder who's been a guest here on the show. A lot of enthusiastic people. Well, before I jump into the questions with you, Brett, I always ask my guests this. What's one little thing that most people don't know about Brett Sloan?
Well, I grew up in this Porsche world, and, I was always around these cars, but my first passion was definitely in the arts, and I took off back in, I want to say about 2001 or so to live in New York City and pursue that. And I studied at Parsons School of Designs.
Nice.
And got an illustration degree there, and I lived there for about 15 years. But during that time period, I saw that I needed to help my father out with some rebranding his designs and his website. So that's where I put the two things together, the cars and the art. Well,
it's very cool. You and I had a great pre-show chat here, and I told Brett my son Blake went to Rhode Island School of Design and studied industrial design there, and I studied graphic design in college along with business. So we've got some creative minds flowing here through the families. And, you did a great job, because I noticed when you went back and was working with your dad before we lost him, of the revamping of the site. And it's easy when we have a business for so long that we just kind of get a little bit used to the look, and to bring somebody young like you in to give it a revamping. And you did a great job, by the way, because it's a fun place to visit. And I'm a Porsche fanatic, as my fans know. So I can't tell you how many times I went to your website and just dream a little dream of all the beautiful cars that you guys have. And now you're continuing to drive me crazy with these cars. So thank you very much, Brett. But you know what? It's a great place to go. And I'll make sure I put a link to that on Brett's show notes page. Easy to find, sloanmotorcars.com. Well, let's start your journey with a success quote or a mantra. This is some kind of saying that perhaps has been instrumental in forming your success and your passion. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tires turning here on Cars Yeah. So Brett, grab the wheel.
So, I've always heard the expression, don't work with your family or friends, but yes. Which, for most people that rings true. But actually that brought my father and I really, really close. And, growing up, we had our differences and we didn't have too much in common, but the cars were always our common denominator. Mm-hmm. So, growing up, like I said, kind of in separate paths, starting with Sloan Cars, it really helped us get together. And unfortunately, we lost him in 2016 when we were really at our peak. We had a 20,000 square foot building, 110 cars, and we were really, firing all cylinders. And, that, like I said, it was cut too short.
Yes.
So,
definitely. Like I said, I talked to your dad, not a lot, but I did talk to your dad on the phone many times. I never had the pleasure of meeting him, and I wanted to get him on this show when I first started, and he was ill and not feeling well, and he was so gracious. He said, look, Mark, I'm just not doing very well right now, but when things get better, I'll come back to you. And of course, we lost him. So I'm really sorry I didn't get to get his voice recorded so people could share his enthusiasm. But we have you here to share that through him in a way. And the great thing about cars is it does bring people together. And I've always said this, it doesn't matter what your political agenda is or what your sexual orientation or your career or whatever it is, it's somehow that cars, they cross over that. And they bring people together. And you can be standing on a Concours lawn and be a guy who could barely scrape 2 pennies together and be talking to a billionaire. And all of a sudden you're friends because you both share a passion in that car in front of you. I would assume that's what helped you with your dad. But also, as you undertake carrying the torch here with your cars, are you finding the same thing with your business and people?
Exactly. Especially with everything going on right now.
Yes.
This is the one thing that we could really kind of distract us. And, between, obviously I can't have anybody into my showroom at the moment, but we're doing these virtual car shows and Cars and Coffee, all done through these Zoom and Skype and whatever else we use to kind of, broadcast what we have here. And it's great. That's why I love the car community. Because again, like you said, that we can all kind of share our passion. And it's just a great escape. And we're really fortunate, and I'm really fortunate to be a part of that.
Oh, definitely. Well, let's touch on this, a couple things a little bit. I want you to talk more about your business and what it's all about, because you're far more than just a used car dealer. You have a whole different concept. But let's touch on what's going on with this pandemic we're all having to deal with. I've been asking my guests this question. How are you dealing with this? How is it affecting you? And what are some effective methods that you're finding to get you through this until we go back to how great things were? And first and foremost, everybody in your family healthy and okay?
Thank God. Yes. Yeah. I'm really fortunate that I have a shop that it's away from my apartment. I'm about 30 minutes south of that, which is great. So I can come here, lock the door, play with the cars and clean them up, and just kind of, like I said, doing the virtual showroom so I can do little videos for each car. But, we had a big 2020 summer planned with all kinds of events. And obviously that's been put on hold for a little bit. So what I've been trying to do is highlight every car. In the past, I've done quick minute-long videos on Instagram and Facebook just to kind of go through stuff real quickly. But at this point, I have more time to really develop conversations about the little details and videotape, maybe me going up and down the road with it. And I'm spending more time to showcase it, where before it was basically just static images on either my our social media channels or on the website, where now people have time to sit there and watch a whole video. It wasn't like that before. Nobody had time. Everybody wanted quick results, quick photos. But now, like I said, everybody has the time to really sit down and pay attention to how special these cars are.
Do you think this is something you'll carry forward even after?
I do.
Well, good. Yeah, I think there's a little silver lining for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't realize that before. Again, I thought everything moves so fast. Everybody wants, as soon as a car hits a website, they want to put a deposit down and get an inspection done. Everything was moving so quickly. It slowed the whole process down. Yeah. They want to hear what the car sounds like. They want to see videos of it running and put the car in the lift to see underneath it. It's great. You're seeing a car in 360 now, where before, like I said, it was just static and just kind of my form fitted for the website, like, my studio shots of left, right, front, back, right. Where now it's like you get to go around the car and really talk about every single detail. So it's great. I love that. And it's something that I didn't know that people wanted to see. And now I'm going to definitely continue doing that.
Well, one thing that we're great to do in this country is adapt and pivot and try some new things. That's one thing I love about the United States is we're not really afraid to do that kind of thing. And like you said, this allows us now the time to do it. I have a great sponsor who's been with me forever, Covercraft, and they've been having me shoot some little short 2 to 4 minute videos in my garage. I've never done that before. I did do a TV show last year, but that was with a crew and I had people that knew what they were doing. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to shoot a video that makes sense, but send a good message. And they're putting it out there on their Covercraft website, or YouTube page rather, which is kind of fun for me to do. So it's pushing me outside of my normal comfort zones as well. I want you to talk more though about your business, because you guys primarily deal with Porsche as the brand. And the way I view Sloan Motor Cars is you guys have some of the best of the best. These are cars that have been very well loved. A lot of original cars, low mileage cars, unique models and marques of the different, marques, all Porsche marque, but different kinds. So tell us more about the concept that your dad started and what you're carrying through with Sloan Motor Cars.
So over the last 40 years, my father started finding cars, all air-cooled Porsches, some water-cooled stuff like the limited edition GT3s and special edition cars but 90% of the inventory has always been air-cooled cars. And like you touched on, it's all been stuff that was loved from day one, low ownership, all original paint, good documentation. So I'm just finding another caretaker for the car. And it's a pleasure to find these treasures and kind of pass them on. And a lot of cars I've known about for years, and I've hunted them down, and it's great to kind of, when people are done with it, kind of give them an opportunity to find the right next owner.
Next ride.
And, yeah.
Well, I've got to ask you this, because this is like the big question. Like, where do you find your cars?
That's my little secret.
Oh man, I thought I'd get a scoop here.
I'm really fortunate to build up this data, this network of guys, and I'm also very lucky to get back almost 25 to 30% of the cars that I've had in the past.
Yeah.
And, we photocopy all the documentation. So, God forbid somebody loses the documentation over these years. I still have that. I mean,
Yes.
I have cars in my showroom right now that I've had that my father sold 10 to 14 years ago. And these guys
crazy?
are, they're time to move on,
Yeah.
and it's great. And I love that. It's just, just like you said earlier, passing the torch. And that's exactly what I'm doing with these cars. It's just finding the next great guy to love them. And, that's why people reach out to me, is to find cars that have no stories.
Yeah, exactly. I got to spend some time with Bruce Canepa last year when I was shooting my television show. And he said, Mark, it's crazy. I've had cars that I've sold 5-6 times over and over and over. And, for people that can afford nicer cars, more expensive cars, they do trade cars and they move on to something new. And to have a trusted person like you to say, you know what, it's time to let it go. You can sell it for me, or I'll sell it back to you, or trade it in on something else you have. That's what that legacy your dad built of 40 years is, that trust among people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's invaluable. I mean, that takes, for someone young like you, would take forever to build back up. So there's definitely a wonderful thing your father left for you there. And I think it's great that you're carrying on to what you're doing. Obviously, you love Porsche, right?
I love it. Porsche is definitely my number one thing, but I'm always been into hot rods and Americana. I grew up in a muscle car. My dad had a 68 GT350 Shelby. That was a car that really got me into cars. But I love everything. That's why I love going out to. That's what I miss the most about what's going on with the car show season, is I don't get to see other things. Right. I'm lucky enough to see these Porsches every day, but there's other stuff out there that I love. And, yeah. So, I miss that terribly.
I understand. I always say if it rolls on rubber, I probably love it. So there's something endearing about everything from a rat rod to a hot rod to a muscle car to, anything. So, definitely.
I scheduled my wedding around a hot rod show. I went to Lone Star Rondo out in Texas for like over 10 years, and had all of my buddies. I would tell them every year, like, oh man, this show's great. And we scheduled our wedding to be around that weekend, so we can go down there before the wedding, and it was fantastic.
That's hilarious. Well, you married the right woman, because she put up with you.
She's very patient.
I got married to one of those too. She tolerates my passion. In fact, this year she kind of, I think, enjoys her downtime when I leave to go to shows, and she's like, aren't you going anywhere this year? And I go, well, I've had to cancel like 8 flights. I'm stuck. You're stuck with me. And she's like, well, there's always the garage. You can just go out there. So I spent a little bit of time out there too. Well, let's take a look at some of these roads you've driven down. Talk about a big challenge or a failure, some kind of thing that kind of set you back. But more importantly about this story, it's how you recovered from it, what you learned from it, so you can move forward in a positive way. So take us on a little trip.
So, like I said, Sloan has been around for 40 years, and we've had our ups and downs. But I would say the biggest loss of all was my father. And that was in 2016. And at that time, I wasn't sure if I was going to continue with the business. And I was shocked that everybody called me from the community to support me and basically tell me not to give it up.
Yeah.
And, I'm really proud that I can continue the Sloan brand and just keep the torch lit and just keep it going.
Well, it must feel a little bit like your dad is there with you every day. I mean, do you get a sense of that? Because he was so significant in your life. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be some of the reward here. I lost my father 3 years ago, and there's not a day goes by I don't think about him. And I want, sometimes I'll even draft an email and I'll go, oh, wait, he's not here. It's like it kind of sets me back a little bit, because we take our parents for granted when they're with us. I reached out to you. I'm trying to remember the first time to get you on this show. And I know you were going through a grieving period and you're trying to decide what you wanted to do. And I'm so glad that you carried on with this. What would you tell somebody out there that loses a close family member or friend of how you got through that process?
I think you just touched on it, that everything, you just get reminded by them. And that just brings a smile to my face, when I'm feeling down with everything going on. It's just, I kept his 912. He has a little soft window 912.
Oh, nice.
Targa. And, that I took it out over the weekend, and it's just, that's the little thing, the little details that kind of bring back great memories.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. With what's going on right now, this pandemic, I always think, I wish I could call my dad and ask him What's his opinion of this? How is he getting through this? What are some words of wisdom that he can share? But our parents, our fathers and mothers, they give us those things throughout our life, so you can always pull back on those thoughts and words and processes there. So I'm really happy that you carried on with this, because I know there's a lot of Porsche files out there that just love what you're doing and the cool cars. And you're very fortunate to have that car, your dad's. Now, the soft window, is that 68? The year they built?
Correct.
Those?
Yep. 68. Yeah, it's 912 soft window Targa.
Nice.
69, they switched over to the glass. There was an option to get the softy.
Yeah.
But this is a 41,000 original mile car that he's had. Yeah, he had it for about 6 or 7 years before his passing, and he had a bunch of cars when he passed. But this is the one I kept. I mean, it's when I had literally did our last time together out on the road was in this car.
Oh, wow.
So it's very special. Very special.
That's what we call a keeper. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Well, I appreciate you taking us on that journey. We're going to take a short break, take a breath here, thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back to talk a little bit about your personal journey and passion for the Porsche marque. So sit tight. We'll be right back. If you're listening to Cars Yeah, you've probably spent some time working on your favorite ride. But how confident are you working on your finances? You may be able to rebuild a fuel injection system, but can you decipher the details of a mutual fund? If you're like me, investments, insurance, annuities, budgeting, and other financial concepts may seem a bit daunting, but what if I told you there's a book that describes these subjects and more in an easy-to-read and a very humorous way? My friend Chris Kimball, CFP, a longtime sponsor and past guest here on Cars Yeah, has written that book, and it's titled The Saga of Eicken Penny, a couple's humorous journey through the confusing world of finance. It's a fun look at things you need to know, everything from investing to effective ways to get rid of credit card debt, and it's probably the only book on finance with a VMAX on the front cover and a classic Mini Cooper on the back. The book's available at Amazon for just $10, and this book will dramatically improve the direction of your financial future. I gave copies to each of my children. All securities are through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Christopher Kimball Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Get your copy, The Saga of Eicken Penny, today. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for enthusiasts and collectors. It's your monthly must-read, whether you dream of owning a collector car, maybe you have two, or maybe you've got 200. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. And don't miss my weekly podcast with Keith Martin titled Buy, Sell, Hold. It's the essence of collecting. We talk to the movers and shakers in the collector car world. Here's a couple deals I have for you just for listening here on Cars Yeah. If you use the checkout code Cars Yeah, you'll receive a 50% discount on your digital subscription at Sports Car Market. That's an exclusive offer from Cars Yeah. And guess what? Here's another deal. If you'd like to get the actual magazine, use the code BSH for Buy, Sell, Hold. That's code BSH, and you'll get $10 off your annual print subscription. That's right, $10 off. Both of these are exclusive offers here at Cars Yeah for Sports Car Market Magazine. Just go to sportscarmarket.com and get your deals today. All right, we're back, Brett. I want you to share a story that instigated this personal passion you have for cars. You talked about, growing up, like many times, kids and their parents bump heads a little bit. The kids want to go one way. The parents want the kids to go another. But having a dad like yours who was such a car guy, there must have been a pivotal moment in your life when you knew, I got some of this car gene in me as well.
I think when I graduated Parsons, he surprised me. My family surprised me with a 1969 911T.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And at that point, Porsche definitely was my father's brand. Like I was very fortunate, like you said earlier, to grow up around these cars, but it wasn't something that I thought was in my wheelhouse. I mean, I was graduating high school and then I got into college. I just couldn't afford anything like that. So I had Volkswagens and stuff that I could tinker with, but I had no idea that this thing was coming. He surprised me with the title at my graduation dinner.
Wow.
But there was one catch.
Oh, car barely ran. Yeah, there always is.
Yep. Car barely ran. So, it was a learning tool.
Yeah.
And, I cut my teeth on that car, tinkering with it, breaking down a million different places, but that was great, and that to me, I didn't know what it would take to keep a vintage car happy.
Yeah.
So it was just a complete learning tool. Whether he did that purposely or not, I'll never know, but he definitely kind of ribbed me a little bit, when he was driving in his cars without any issues, and I was still trying to figure out how to get things to run properly.
I'm certain that he had an agenda there, and it was a great. Now that you're more mature, more grown up, you know exactly what he had in mind. He wanted you to be able to work on that thing and learn how to make it run. And also, there's a sense, especially I'm a parent, so there's a sense of having your kids have to work a little bit for something versus handing it to them. There's a lot more appreciation that goes on, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it. And that was the things like he could have, my dad's always been a 993 guy. So that's what I expected to kind of grow into is, eventually Ford a 993 or something that was a little bit newer. But I didn't know anything about the early 911s at that point. So it was a great learning lesson in all aspects, just the lineage of 911 in general, just to start from the beginning, and a totally different appreciation for the cars from that point on. And I think that really was that pulled me into the business, was to, like, oh my God, these things are, first of all, they're easy to work on if you know what you're doing, surrounding yourself with talent that knows how to do it as well, and just kind of figuring out all the resources and the parts and where to get all these, to make these cars happy. Yeah. It was great. It was just, just digging around to find different people to help you out was great. And I just met the coolest people within the industry.
Well, and I love those. It had the 2-liter motor in it.
Exactly, 2-liter with the Weber triple throats in there. There's just a fun little torque.
Good.
Yeah, it's just a fun little torquey motor to drive around here. I mean, I have no place to do 150 miles per hour around here. It's all back road driving.
Yeah.
And these cars are perfect for that.
Yeah.
So, it's just a great car. But that was it. I think that was the car that really, besides my dad's Shelby growing up in that car and him terrorizing the neighborhood, laying strips everywhere. My little 911, definitely. And I still have it, obviously. It's that car's
I almost was afraid to ask. Man, I'm so glad you still have it because, those are, again, another keeper car. And just the smiles for the miles. Not terribly fast, of course, but just a wonderful car. I had a 72 S for a long time, and my kids learned how to drive in that car and learned how to drive stick. And it was just a joy to drive and so much fun. And you just got into a different mindset when you get into an old car like that.
Yep. No radio on. No distractions. I put the phone in the glove box, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's all about the road.
Absolutely. Well, here's a bit of an introspective question. I'm guessing nobody ever asked you this question, Brett. If you woke up tomorrow and you were a car parked in your storage house there, your shop, what kind of car would Brett Sloan be and why?
Easy. My little 911.
That car. Yeah, that's you.
That's it. That's me. I wear it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. When, very few people, I'll tell you something, you're very fortunate because I've interviewed now 1,569 people. And one of the things that is reoccurring is I wish I still had that first special car. I wish I hadn't sold it. And some people even, when they get to a point in life, they find it and buy it back and restore it.
Yeah.
And it's not so much about the car being that great. It's all those memories that come with that car. Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that you still have that. Well, we're going to drive into the last lap here. I'm going to fire off a series of questions, ask you to give our listeners some very quick blips of that wonderful 911T Flat 6 that sounds so good. So here we go. Would you share one of your personal habits you believe has contributed to your many successes over the years?
I just, I love what I do. It's all about passion. It's not a job anymore. I get here, I'm here every day. And that's about it. I mean, it's just, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm focused on that. And I'm, like I said, passion.
It's one of the things that's reoccurring here, and it's all about my mantra, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, that I hear. And I know that together we're inspiring people out there to realize there is a way to have a career and a business in your field of passion. A lot of people say it's cliche and no, you can't do it. And I know it's work and there's ups and downs. The economy flip-flops, 1 year you're selling lots of cars, the next year nobody has any money. And so it's like you got to figure out ways, but you've definitely figured out the secret sauce to a happy life. And no doubt a lot of that is attributed to your father's guidance. How about if I could arrange for you to sit down and have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased, who would it be?
We recently lost Chuck Stoddard.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to meet him in person with, I did a cross-country trip with Nick Hunziker.
Oh, Nick, yes.
The artist. And actually, I learned about that cross-country trip by listening to your podcast. I didn't even realize I was on the trip.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I'll never forget that. I was like, wait a minute, I guess I'm going here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know about that trip. Nick told me all about it.
Yep. So, but Chuck was just, we had about an hour. Originally, we had about 30 to 40 minutes planned to meet him. Bruce Schwartz was nice enough to bring us over there.
Oh, yeah.
And Chuck was pretty frail at that point. But, what turned into, what was supposed to be 30, 45 minutes turned into almost 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
And it was, but there's still, we could have spent another 2 weeks there. The guy's just a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, I know.
Telling us tons of stories. And we were fortunate enough to see his collection at that time. And, he was just a very interesting guy, and he was right in the beginning when everything kind of started over here in America.
Oh yeah,
with a brand, so bringing Porsches over here.
We lost an iconic master there with that one. So what a life lived! Yeah. Really, really rewarding life lived. How about the best automotive advice you've ever received from someone else?
Especially when I was thinking about winding down the business, and I was getting kind of beat up trying to figure out what I should do. Everybody could continue to remind me to not lose the momentum, continue selling, continue getting cars. There's been many times that I, would spend weeks on a deal and then we'd lose it at the last second. And, I just jump in the car, my little 911, get some air, go for a ride and come back and just keep on going.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just don't lose the momentum.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Never, ever give up. Let me give you a question that I typically don't ask people, but since you sell so many great cars to people and you talk to so many people, what's one word of advice you would give somebody who's trying to buy their dream car?
Make sure that you get it thoroughly inspected. I think a lot of people buy stuff because it's the right price and they get really excited about the opportunity. Take time to really see what you're buying.
Yes.
Get the car inspected. If you can't do it, hire somebody to do that. There's plenty of places throughout this country that you can get a PPI done, pre-purchase inspection. Mm-hmm. It's worth the time. It's worth the money. And you don't want to pay for it later on.
No.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Just slow down and take your time to buy the car.
Everything looks really good in pictures on the internet, but when it shows up, it's like, is that the same car that I saw in the pictures? What happened?
Know what you're buying. There's been so many times that I've heard some horror stories of people buying stuff that was, not represented well.
Oh yeah.
So just take your time.
Yeah, great advice. How about a great resource for our listeners out there? Is a go-to for you that you'd like to share?
I love going to flatsixes.com. John Irving started a great website years ago, and it's just one of the best resources to find out what's going on with the world of Porsche.
Yeah, I love that as well. Now, how about a book? Is there a book you've read that you think our listeners would enjoy?
Just recently, my good buddy Frank Kaiser came out with a book documenting the R Group.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen a copy yet, but it's fantastic. It's awesome. So my buddy Frank, who I met many years ago, he bought a 67 911S from me back in 2010 or so.
Ooh.
And he's become one of my good friends. Even flew out from Germany to go to my wedding. Just a really good guy.
Wow.
And he's worked with Porsche Motorsport for many years. And this is kind of like a passion project for him. So if you can find the book, pick it up. You'll love it. It's a real gritty look of the R Group and what it takes to be an R Group member. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
very
really
cool.
Cool. Great. Awesome. Well, listen, you can find all these resources on Brett's show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. Just go to carsyeah.com, type in Brett Sloan, Sloan, and you'll find that page there with all these great resources and links back to his company, of course. You got to go there, pour yourself a nice tall drink, sit back and enjoy the ride through his shop because he's got some cool cars there, especially if you love Porsches. All right, we're up to the checkered flag here, Brett, and this last question. This is going to be an interesting one for a guy like you. I'm going to buy you a collector car today. Any collector car in the world, something special, but there are some rules to my game that will make this a bit of a challenge. And I'm going to do something special for you here. I'm going to remove that 911T and your dad's soft window Targa out of the equation here, because if I left them in, I'd already know the answer to the question. So those are off the table. You can keep those, but typically I tell my guests that you can't sell this car. You've got to keep it. It's got to tick a lot of boxes because I want you to drive it and enjoy it. But here's the kicker. It's the only one cool collector car that you can have in your garage. So again, we'll remove Dad's car in your car. Otherwise, you're going to say Dad's car and the story's over. It's not interesting here. So I want you to pick something really special for you that maybe you've had on your mind for a long time that I can park in your garage. So what's it going to be?
The car I always come back to was the one that started me from the very beginning, and that was the 68 Shelby GT350.
Oh, we're going off mark here.
Yes, we are. I just think that car, I have a picture of it on my desk. That's the car that I remember just driving around and realizing that old cars are cool. They're fun, everybody stopping at, every stoplight, every gas station, people would come over and swarm over to the car and tell us all the stories about, their experiences with Shelbys and other, muscle cars. And I think that was the one that really cemented the idea to me that these cars are cool.
What color was that car?
It was Acapulco blue with white stripes.
Blue,
and it had Torque racing wheels on it, American racing wheels, and a Hirsch shifter. And I would love to find that and lay a strip up and down my road just for old Dad.
So you don't know where it's living?
I lost touch. I found out where it was about, I want to say almost 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think it's still in the same collection. And just by chance, I know a Shelby judge. He's one of my clients. And he's been combing through the registry to find out where the car is currently, like right now. So, but yes, I am trying to find that car.
So you have an advantage, Brett, because you're younger. So as us baby boomers age out and we sell off cars or get tired or move on or whatever it might be, I'm guessing that car is going to show up one of these days, and you're going to get it back.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so.
Keep thinking the good thoughts here. That'll happen. You know enough people in the industry. So, anybody out there, you obviously know the VIN and everything, right?
Yeah, I have some of the paperwork.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that, it's just got lost. And the guy was, he was a big collector, and then he went quiet for a few years. So that's my biggest concern, is that either the collection got broken up or, then it got this, or maybe not even be in the country anymore. I don't know. It's one of those things that, time kind of makes things disappear sometimes.
Sure.
So,
well, the search is always a big part of the joy of finding the right car.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the most fun.
Usually it is. Yeah, absolutely. Brett, this has been really fun. I'm glad you took the time to spend with me today. Thank you for sharing your story with my listeners. It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing your journey. I want you to offer us maybe one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you rip off into the countryside in that 68 Shelby GT350.
If there's anything during this time, it's definitely that the bond we all share for these automobiles, and this bond will always continue to bring us together in the future and keep us connected, even though we are all apart. So it's just great that, we have this car community. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be on your podcast.
Absolutely. This has been fun. Yeah, I'm so glad. What's the best way for people, again, to find you and look at the wonderful cars you have to offer?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Sloan Motors. It's like a real time thing. Cars coming and going. You get to see things right out, posting stories. Now I got my virtual great showroom, so you can see things in great detail. Or you can go to my website, which is sloanmotorcars.com. And, there's all the inventory is right there. And feel free to contact me anytime if there's anything you want to learn about. And I'm always here. I'm always available. I'm always down to talk Porsches.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you being so generous today with your time and expertise and for sharing your experiences. Stay healthy, stay well, and until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Thanks again, Mark.
It's been great.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.